Hey everyone, welcome to the moon forecast for the new moon we have coming up in Aquarius. I'm Kendall with the Bohemian Tarot Girl, and Amy, give a shout out for yourself.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm an intuitive energy coach and moon circle leader at Wild Ray Awakening. And we have a big, a big and exciting and really important new moon coming in
We
this.
do. It's really heralding in a new time. We have this transition, this full transition with that Pluto energy. We have the lunar new year. So this is that first new moon of that lunar cycle happening. And so I feel like this is really kicking off a whole new set of energy. How are you feeling about it?
I'm actually really ready for a changing of the guard, I would have
Mhm.
to say. There's been a lot of shedding going on. So having this Aquarius new moon, which is happening February 9th at 2:59 Pacific PM.
Yep.
Um, and it's at like almost 21 degrees. So if
Yep.
you want to get a little bit in depth into where that falls in your chart, look at 21 degrees of Aquarius, see what house that is in. That'll give you some insight into the areas of your life that may be most affected. So we have so much Aquarius energy happening with this moon, whether it's already in Aquarius or we have these other planets that will be moving into Aquarius shortly after. Um, I don't like it's a lot. And Aquarius energy already, if you're not familiar with Aquarius energy, it's all about the collective and kind of this outside of the box thinking. It's revolutionary. It wants to be independent. It's really this energy that kind of creates this momentum to think about your future direction and what is possible and what maybe you haven't thought of before because it's so innovative and so creative and so just out of the ordinary.
Yep.
And after we talked, last month about Pluto shifting into Aquarius, and that's, the most outer lying planet. So it has the longest cycle, and it's been in Capricorn for a very long time, what, like 14 to 16 years, if you want to count the retrogrades and stuff. Um, and now it's, like I said, having this changing of the guard into Aquarius energy. So we're going from this very kind of fixed, stable energy into this more revolutionary, imaginative, creative, uh, future focused
Mhm.
direction instead of trying to cling to all of the stuff from the past.
Yep.
Um, so
I
we've got a lot to talk about.
definitely. I mean, when I thought about and I really felt into the energy for this new moon. It was all about, I wrote down figuring out new frequencies. And I think that's going to be important. And that's going to be tied into the growth aspect and really coming into yourself and growing with the energy that's going on. So, those were the main themes that I really felt like were coming forward when I looked at this new moon. Pluto, which we talked about, is it's right at that 0 degree mark, and that's very karmic. And we have all this energy where, with the new moon, it's really asking you to look at what you want to bring in for the next 2 decades as we have this like heavy Aquarius energy. And I feel like this is really asking us to weigh in what we want, what we need to let go, all those pieces that have been carrying with us through this Capricorn um, really frequency that we've been set in. So I would definitely look back and then make sure that you're looking forward during this time. Did you have anything really specific to that 0 degree karmic shift?
Not specific to 0 degree, but we are transitioning into this new, and it's not something that is, this is a long transit, so it's going to take some time to build the momentum. But having this first new moon in Aquarius, where the sun and the moon are both conjunct at the same degree of Aquarius, and then also having Pluto, which has just entered Aquarius, this is the first new moon that we've had. um, with Pluto in Aquarius. And so it really is the opportunity and the um, momentum to really create intentions about where you are going and what you do want to create. And also, we always we always talk about how a lot of these moons have this element of setting intentions and looking forward, but also like this shedding element to it, which is kind of unusual because usually new moons are just for, looking towards the future and what you
Yep.
want to build and what you want to create. But because we've had this shift in this major energy of this, this outer lying planet, um, it's really looking also at what are you ready to let go of that has no place in the future direction that you're moving into. And some of the things that I wrote about this moon is that not only is it the first new moon in Aquarius with, after Pluto has shifted, but it's also the beginning of the Lunar New Year.
Mhm.
This is just really when the new year starts. It's when new, fresh energy starts to build. And it's also a year of the wood dragon,
Yep.
which is a very transformational energy as it is. And so everything that's coming in with this moon has this element of transformation and rebirth and like the shedding of this old skin that we've been wearing. And some of the things that I wrote down is that at this time, we're really ushering in like a future version of ourself and the future direction that we're going. And what that really means when I when I say that is that there are a lot of people who, how do I want to say this? Sometimes when you get like so much information coming in at once and it doesn't come out of your mouth properly, I
Mhm.
feel like that's happening. So so there's so many people who have chosen to be on this planet at this very specific time, during this energy shift and um, direction that the future is headed towards. And I feel like so many people right now are being called up to step into their gifts and step into their power and really show up authentically. And it's going to be that kind of is the, oh my gosh, I just lost the word. Come on. um, but it's going to be that is the creates the shift,
Yep.
um, to really set things in motion for a more positive future. And I really think that that's what this Aquarius energy is doing. And I know just from personal experience, it feels and maybe some of you resonate with this and some of you don't. But I've been kind of talking with people about how I felt like I've been in this holding pattern for a long time. And I think what is happening now is that the elements that are needed in order to move into your future vision of yourself, which is really the calling that you came in here for, you're going to start seeing some signs and some um, pivotal moments that you can kind of like pinpoint and be like, that is exactly where I need to go.
Yep.
And one of the things that I think of about that is that there's like, I always say this, there's like little lamp posts that are set up along the path. And you just have to follow the lamp posts. And I really feel like they're starting to become more and more illuminated now because this direction is going to be really
Mhm.
um, more clear now that we've had this energy shift.
Yes. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, a lot of this, I feel like we're really being catapulted into a new energy and that new frequency. So then we can kind of find that way, right? We're just starting out on the path. It's the very beginning as we're kind of going into this journey, but we're going to start seeing, like you said, the pathway forward, which I think is great. I mean, when we look at the energy with this new moon, we have Uranus in square, and that one is all about sudden change. And so it would not surprise me at all is, if you have sudden change happen during this time, if you have some insights that come to you and things just start shifting for you, if you're putting it out there and that's what you're asking for and it's aligning with you, you're going to see some kind of like ticks in the clock that are moving along and you're shifting into that new time with that. So just be aware that things can happen and shift really quick with this energy, and to make sure that you don't feel overwhelmed and you just kind of let it happen. That was another big message that came through when I thought about this moon, was really just letting things happen. Like, don't, you want to set your intentions, you want to do what you can, but don't push. You don't need to push. It's going to naturally come about, and you don't need to worry about really um, going above and beyond, I guess, for those messages that come to you. They're going to come to you naturally. So,
Yeah. And with, Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018-ish.
yep.
Never remember the dates on that. But it'll be there till 2025. So we have another year of Taurus and Uranus. And, that's the planet of revolution and kind of the unexpected and major shifts.
Hmm.
And so having that square Aquarius, which Uranus actually rules Aquarius. So it even makes it more of a revolutionary
Yeah.
energy. Uh, and it's really one of the things that came up as I was looking into this part of it is that, um, you know, where Pluto has been in Capricorn is that it's very much full of structure and the rules and the universal laws and making sure everything is done in a certain way and in its place. And then now that this energy is shifting, and we're also having this, the sun and the moon in Aquarius are squaring Uranus, it is really putting a focus on where do you feel stuck?
Mhm.
Where um, do you want more freedom in your life? And ultimately, everybody's going to have their things that comes up when I ask these questions, and I think it would be really good if you want to sit during this moon and think about this. Um, because a lot of people will say, well, I can't because of the economy, or I can't because of this, or I'm stuck at this job, or I'm stuck in this relationship. And the universe has a way of giving you what you expect. And so
Mhm.
if you expect that this is where you're always going to be, then this is where you're going to be. And so with this kind of energy, it's also going to be illuminating what kind of stories have you attached yourself to that you're telling yourself is truths that you're remaining under the impact of that kind of like self-imposed belief system. um, and there can be a huge shedding that happens around what you believe is possible for yourself. There can be a lot of surprises that come up that help you change that belief around what you're capable of, where you can go, what you're allowed to have, what you're allowed to create. Um, and so there is a potential with this energy to really kind of remove a lot of the self limitations that you've kind of imposed consciously or subconsciously. So
It
be aware
reminds
of
me of,
what pops up.
yeah, it reminds me of that. I don't know if you've ever gone through that process where you're sitting with someone and you say, okay, I want you to look around the room and I want you to count and, remember as many things in the room that have the color red. And your brain automatically goes through and finds all the things red because that's what you're telling it that you want, right? And then if you stop and you're so focused in on that red color and what's red, and you're kind of bending the lines and you're finding things that are magenta or close to red, even just to make yourself win. And then, what happens when that friend goes, oh, can you tell me what's blue in the room? You're not going to have any idea what was blue because you were so focused in on that red that you're not paying attention to those other pieces in the room. And that's what we have a tendency to do when we're misaligned or we're trying to manifest things that are not quite on our path, is we're totally missing all this other pieces that are being brought to us. And we have to shift our perspective in order to be able to receive those gifts and start bringing them into us naturally. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about this moon and you're trying to work and maybe shift a little bit of your direction and your focus. Just think about, what you really want, right? And make sure that you're really bringing that piece in and you're not focused in on those reds, right, in your life.
Yeah, and just broaden your beliefs around what you believe is possible. Because when you open that door to more unlimited possibility,
Yeah.
you give space for the universe to rearrange things instead of just focusing on, well, this is how it is, this is how it's always going to be. I really think that there are going to be so many shifts on a personal and collective level in the next, 5 years potentially. It could
Sure.
happen faster, but it really, like, realistically, I want to say what your life looks like now can completely transform within the next 5 years.
Yep.
But it's all going to come down to um, what you're open to. And, are you willing to take risks? Are you willing to lean in your intuition? Are you willing to step out of what you know and what is comfortable to grasp towards something that is more in alignment and with who you are and what you came here to do. Um,
Yeah.
Give you some big potential leaps on the horizon, depending on how you choose to move forward.
Yep. And I do feel like, when we're looking at outside of the energy of this new moon, we have that Chiron and the North Node, and they're going to conjunct after the new moon on February 11th. And that's really going to be that healing piece. So hopefully with this new moon, you're going to be able to go through some processes. You're going to, do some of those refocusing of where you want to go. And then you're also going to gain some healing afterwards from it, which will be great. And think about that as new things are being brought to you quickly, that there's going to be, the frequency of healing some of those old wounds that you have after this process happens. So just be aware of that and just embrace it and let it happen naturally. Don't, once again, don't stress about it. It's just going to come naturally to you. So,
Yeah, the the energy of Chiron being the wounded healer, and North Node really wanting us to, which is in Aries, which is really wanting us to kind of like lean into who we are at our core. And you will find that the greatest healers are those who have been through a lot and have learned how to transform and transmute that so that they can kind of be that beacon for other people who are going through something similar. And so it really is a beautiful energy. And there is a sense of deep wisdom that is accumulated by going through adverse situations. Um, and potentially that's giving you more of a solid sense of self and how you can really show up and inspire and help other people.
yep.
So I don't know. I love Chiron energy. Some people
I
are
know.
just like, oh no, my Chiron, that's my deepest wound. And it is. I mean, it's something that probably happened when you were young and you carry it through your life. And it's the element of whatever it is that you need to transmute. And so you can move past it and really become more of a role model for that. So.
Yeah, definitely. What else we got going on here? We are talking about Venus and
So Venus and Mars
Mhm,
have been in Capricorn and kind of traveling kind of close together.
mhm.
And they are heading into Aquarius. And as they do that, they will both be conjunct that Pluto in Aquarius. And as we know, Pluto is the planet of transformation and death and rebirth and the underlying stuff. I don't know. I think Pluto gets a bad rap, but I actually really like Pluto.
I do too.
I think it's important. And so there can be potential for transformation within your relationships. And that does not, I don't want to say that that's a good or a bad thing. It's just that it's going to apply how it's going to apply in your life based on your chart. But it is a very transformational energy. It can elevate relationships. It can give you new insights and perspectives to your relationship. It can show you which relationships are no longer serving you and need to be let go of.
Mhm.
But what happens shortly after it moves into Aquarius is that Mars and Venus are conjunct, which doesn't happen very often. And so, Venus being the feminine, Mars being the masculine, there is a really significant sense of the divine feminine, divine masculine unity when that happens. And I think that conjunction could be really important.
I agree. When you're talking about your relationships, if that's a big focus in your life, that this is a key time, a key player in that. So, and definitely look at your own chart, look at how it plays out, within it. So, and really think about what's going on in your life, in your relationships right now, and what needs to change, adjust, that sort of piece. So, and I definitely am not one to, say go explode your relationships, really evaluate them. So take a moment, take a breath. Don't get overexcited with it. So
Unless it really needs to be exploded.
yeah, Amy.
I mean, there are times when that is needed. So if you've been looking for the right time to explode your relationship, by all means.
Be careful, people.
I'm kind of joking, but I think that just leaving room for transformation in whatever way. And then there's an element of Aquarius is very independent and it does not like to be told what to do. And it doesn't really like rules. And so there can also be some element of unconventionalism with this.
Yep.
When these two signs move, or when these two planets move into Aquarius, is that you may really look at your relationships in a completely different way, and you may abandon rules as to what is considered conventional or normal or appropriate. There's kind of a redefining of what works.
Definitely.
So just, take this as it is for your personal situation. But you may see that there is a big shift in how you um, enter into relationships and how you navigate them.
Yep. It is very interesting how we have this energy right after we've kind of had that collective shift for, I would say, like all of us, and it's changing how we're looking and seeing the world. And then here it comes, and it's asking us to reevaluate now our relationships, and we're shifting from that Capricorn energy into that Aquarius energy to line that up. And so I do think a lot of people are going to be shifting and looking at what they value in those relationships and what needs to change and adjust. So,
Mhm. And I just think so much of this energy is really looking at, are you doing things because you were told that's how you were supposed to do it,
mhm.
or how that's just how it's always been done and that's what's acceptable. And then, so there's this kind of reevaluation happening around, well, just because I've always done it this way doesn't mean it's the best way. Does it mean that it's serving me? Does it
Yep.
mean that I have to continue doing it this way? And so some people are really attached to doing things as they've always been done. And some people are really kind of sick and tired of it and looking to break free of that restriction, and look at things in a new light and do things in a way that is better serving and more in alignment than doing it just because.
Mhm.
So you're going to see that as a theme for a while. I know we've talked about Pluto a lot here, but I just wanted to point out that Pluto will go retrograde and we will dip our toe back into Capricorn energy. And as I saw the dates for that, I was just like, oh, I know
Oh,
what you think about this. Is that it's right around the election time in the
it is.
US. And it kind of makes sense that so far the two candidates that we have are going back into the old traditional, um, this is
Mhm.
the way it has been and this is the way it will be, and this, there's so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, and if we're going to have a collective energy that wants to attach to old paradigms, or if we will be deep enough into this Aquarius energy where people are starting to really want something different,
That new.
and go in a
Mhm.
different direction.
Yep.
um, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to predict anything.
No.
I just noticed the energy and the patterns. So
Yep. I do. I mean, like looking forward in the energy, that fall energy is going to be really maybe a little bit weird. But even closer to that, the eclipse that we have coming up in April, this is kind of like a precursor in that energy for this. So it's you're going to see similar shifts take place during those times. So just be aware that it's going to have similar energy. So you might, what you're kind of working on now might be emphasized as we come into that eclipse season here coming up. So just pay attention to some of the themes that come up and know where you're wanting to move and change yourself. So,
mhm.
anything else, Amy, before we?
um, just probably one of the reminders that I always give when we have a lot of this intense energy happening is to really just be aware of where your own energy is and not try and attach it to outside influences. Um, you're responsible for your own energy, and that's, you have no control over what's happening outside of you. You can't control how other people respond or react, but you can be very protective and aware of your internal environment and how you are existing in the world. And that's going to be a very important theme of this year. That's why the North Node is in Aries, so that we're more self aware and self reflective and self preserving. A lot of people think that Aries energy is very selfish, but there is a difference between being selfish and self-serving and being very loving and caring of your independence and your sovereignty and yourself. So um, I would just, if you're starting to feel like your energy is leaking out and you are giving a lot of yourself away, or you're taking a lot of your external environment in, I would highly, highly recommend learning some techniques to protect your own energy field.
I think that's a great reminder to end with. There is a lot of energy going on, and making sure that you're checking yourself is a great reminder. So, well, everyone, thank you for joining us again. We will see you for the full moon we have coming up. Remember, think and go ahead and step outside that comfort zone that, if you've been holding yourself back from this energy, really take the opportunity to make this shift. So we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.